What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is February 14th of 2019. Well, folks, I hope you all are having a great day today. And today on the Daily Update, we're going to keep it quite short and relevant to cryptocurrencies. I've actually got to get ready to head out for Seattle later on this afternoon because I'm going to be going to Neo DevCon. So if you guys can make it out, hope to see you there. And if you haven't got tickets already, stick around to the end of the video. We're going to be talking about that if you would like to possibly get some free tickets. So let's go ahead and take a look over cryptocurrency markets. For the most part, cryptocurrency is quite neutral with a few outliers. Market cap has not moved that much. Again, volatility is quite low at the moment. Total market capitalization still remaining relatively flat over the past few days, still holding the vast majority of gains on Bitcoin, not only bumping up, but also altcoins following as well. We'll have to see if this starts to really tether over. It looks like we're starting to finally see a decline here. Going on over to market dominance, again, still not making new highs comparative to the levels we saw in December. This is good to see because it's going to show us that risk is coming in, and I think will lead to a potential for Bitcoin dominance to deplete, giving room for altcoins to breathe and actually possibly get a little bit of a rebound here in the next few weeks. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and talk about really the three big pieces of news here. So the Federal Reserve, or specifically the New York branch of the Federal Reserve, has come out stating that they don't see cryptocurrencies as a test of the dollar going, over the next few years or in the near term. Now, they aren't too specific as to what that time frame is. This was obviously just a comment coming out of the New York Fed, and it doesn't shock me by any means. But basically, if we go through basically the summary here, it discusses about how cryptocurrencies and emerging markets, for example, like Argentina, have been a good fit. They've been a really good fit in developing economies that continue to struggle with managing monetary policy, or have corrupt leadership or have censorship of monetary transactions. And this is where cryptocurrencies thrive. The problem I see with this is that the dollar has been seen as the world reserve currency. In fact, a lot of these economies use the dollar as a benchmark for whether they're using the currency or not in transactions. They're using it as a benchmark to transmit value. So when they do commerce or business, many of them use it in the sense of, if I'm buying a good or service, I'm going to be paying $3 worth of my native currency. And what I see as a problem here with this kind of approach of not seeing cryptocurrencies as valuable or competitive against Western markets, though it may not tackle Western markets for a while, I think that Bitcoin could become a global standard currency as well as a variety of other cryptocurrencies. It depends on which one markets best and provides the best functionality. It could compete much better than the US dollar. And along with that, it could actually be the real currency that they're using. Now, the reason I say that this is a threat to the dollar is that the dollar holds a large amount of strength because it has a certain amount of population of individuals using it, and it has all of these macro factors that prop it up, not to mention being the dollar of the US economy, which is, one of the largest in the world. So if you have a combined use case of a cryptocurrency amongst 10, 20 economies that start to compete on the edge of the GDP and productivity that you get from the United States, I think you could see a cryptocurrency test the dollar as the world reserve currency. I think you could see a digital currency really take the lead in that case on the world stage. So again, I think this is traditional banking. As much as crypto is still in its early days, it's at less than 1% global adoption. It's inefficient in some regards. We still don't have fungibility and privacy on Bitcoin. There are improvements that need to come. There is more adoption that needs to come. But I'm really curious as to what their near midterm predictions are, because I think in about a decade to two, we are going to see nearly 50% cryptocurrency adoption. I think people are actually going to start using this, and it's mostly going to be in economies that aren't in the West, in emerging markets. So that's what I'm really excited about. I'd like to know what your guys' thoughts are on that down below in the comments. Going on, taking an opinion piece as well from someone who's been in this space for a while, Zhao Dong, who's been a crypto billionaire, who's been involved in crypto, and an OG who's been in this space for a long time, has stated that he sees the bull run coming later on in 2020. He believes that 2019 is the time to buy. So going through here, according to the 8BTC article source, he claimed that while the bear market will continue to end in 2019, buying BTC at current valuations would be a great strategy. Dong explained that as it stands, the public has avoided paying attention to BTC, thus making it logical to stock up on cryptocurrency while the general consumer population isn't FOMOing in. Someone said it. I think that's a good mindset to have, guys. And, you are going to go down a rabbit hole if you try to pick the absolute bottom, or try to sell at the absolute top. But what we can see here, as we just did a video a little while ago, and if you haven't watched it, recommend you go check it out, guys. A video on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market cycles. And it's important to understand that the factors are coming into play that aren't signaling that we're going to have a rebound next week or next month, and probably not even in the next quarter or two, but that we're at the current phase of bottoming in this market. That whether you look at the weekly MACD, whether you look at the RSI, whether you're looking at indicators like the NVT signal, doesn't matter. We're getting to the point where things are bottoming out. So it's good to see that. And I like this point as well. He was talking about in 2020, the reason why he believes the real serious bull market where the rally is going to come in is going to be sometime in the spring of 2020. He says, meanwhile, the next wave of more promising ones, or cryptocurrencies in this case, will emerge from the ashes, making 2019 both the best time and the worst time for investors and entrepreneurs. So I'm interested to see what he means by the best time and the worst time in that case. But I think more than anything, this is a time to filter through all of the noise that was generated back in 2017 and still lurks around, because cryptocurrencies don't just disappear. They disappear legitimately when exchanges delist them. And exchanges, really aren't going to delist cryptocurrencies until there's a lack of trading, and we're finally getting to that point, and when there's too much of a regulatory overhead to worry about versus what they're getting in trading fees. So I think you could see Binance on a lot of these exchanges remove a lot of these cryptocurrencies that just simply aren't seeing volume. But time will tell, and I think that's where I think that's what Zhao was mentioning here in this case. So stick with cryptocurrencies that have liquidity and actually have real fundamental technology and adoption in that case. I think that's the biggest summary here. Going on to the third point, though, this is something that I've had some people ask me about. As you all know, I love a good debate, and I love the technological questions and innovations of Bitcoin, making changes to the network and seeing where we can take Bitcoin. And a lot of people have been talking about the decrease or potential decrease in Bitcoin's block size. Now, you heard me right. It's not an increased debate like we've had, between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash of raising the block size to 2 or 8 megabytes. But this is a debate as to whether or not we should scale back the Bitcoin block size back to levels we've seen previously at around 300, or I think it's the general argument is around 300 kilobytes, which would be less than 1/3 of what we have now at 1 megabyte. So why is it that people want to bring this down, right? Well, it's the same exact reason why some people fear of increasing the Bitcoin block size to 2 or 8 megabytes. And that is the fact that if we have a larger block size and we do fill those blocks, it's going to mean that, in this case, that you have less people who can operate a full node, right? Well, let me go ahead. I want to make some points here, guys, as we go throughout the article. This is the case for smaller blocks. If you want to read over it and get a little bit more detail, again, it has to do with the worry of centralization in this case. It has to do with a fear that a few select people will only be able to run Bitcoin nodes, and that this makes the network centralized in some way. And I have to be fair here, guys. As you go through the article, it's very clear here, and this is something that I just know without even reading it, that this is kind of a petty argument, not to mention it is going to cause more harm to the Bitcoin network than it would ever add in benefits. And I'll explain why. First off, there is already a vast range of nodes and individuals across the world who can run a node that has a megabyte or more. Not to mention, if someone cannot afford a computer to run a 1 megabyte node or 1 megabyte block size full node, then they very much don't have a good internet connection. It's very likely that they don't have a good internet connection, and with that, they actually can play into a very negative trend of slowing down the network and slowing communication. So this is something where we have to find a fine line. We don't want too much centralization. We don't probably want 100 megabyte blocks or more, and we also don't want to cut it down to 300 kilobytes. It's a fine line that we have to draw for Bitcoin that provides optimal decentralization, and as well as that optimization of being able to fit in a lot of transactions, right? So anyways, this is a few different quotes here that I wanted to pull up here. This is a quote from Samson Mao saying, This is also why most Bitcoin users do not want huge blocks, because then full nodes could only be run in data centers, which perfectly defeats the purpose of having a decentralized network. Look, I'm not even like a big Bitcoin Cash guy, guys, but like this argument of like Bitcoin, that people are going to run more nodes now because it would be 300 kilobytes. Look, I'm excited about Lightning Network. I'm excited about all these things, but it just isn't true, guys. Like, from the people I know who actually go out and get into mining, which is really what matters here, if you're running a mining node, you're going to be able to run a full node, right? It is so cost efficient compared to buying a S9 Bitmain miner. So long as the miners are running full nodes, it's not really an issue, right? It's good to have a lot of other individuals who own their own personal nodes, but what matters at the end of the day is that we have a wide range of miners that aren't all connected to the same pools. That's the real worry about decentralization here, is if something goes wrong and all these people are applying their computational power to one pool, that's a big worry. So again, they've had a few different people talking about this, like John Carvalho, who also disclosed feeling comfortable enough with potentially a controversial move considering the scaling success of the Lightning Network. The point would be to make running a Bitcoin full node easier in the future for users with more constraints on their ability to dedicate hardware and internet bandwidth to running the full version of Bitcoin, which is the only way to use Bitcoin in a trustless way. So again, there are some benefits here, but I think, again, we're bouncing between arguments here. Are we going to expect that mainstream users use Lightning Network, right? In that case, I don't think people need to run a full node. I think it's good if you have a computer and, if you really want to operate in that much of a trustless manner. But I know that's how the vast majority of people don't use Bitcoin and will never use Bitcoin. It's just, I think that there's a very open future for people using streamlined services like Lightning Network, and other payment networks in this case, or just doing base layer transactions of the Bitcoin network through a mobile wallet on their phone. So again, I recommend you guys go through this article. You can look it up. It's basically this debate of smaller block size, and you'll see a variety of people talking about it, probably if you check out Twitter and all types of different platforms. But man, yeah, I have a hard time really getting behind this. I think 1 megabyte is nice right now with SegWit, which pretty much gives us a 4 megabyte block size once we get full adoption. And outside of that, I don't really I don't see a need right now to increase block size, but I also don't see a need to decrease it. So I'm quite negative in regards to this, but I'd like to hear what you guys think. If I miss a point, feel free to leave it down in the comments down below and let me know. All right, guys, so that's it for the news today. Just want to let you all know I am heading out today to Seattle, and I'm going to be attending Neo DevCon, which is going to be here in a couple of days. And if you guys would like to come to this conference and you haven't gotten tickets yet, there is a lot of free tickets that we've got. So if you guys want, please email us at contactdatadash@gmail.com. and we can hopefully hook you up with a free ticket to the event. I'd love to see you guys if you can make it out. It's one thing that I'm excited to go see the Neo Dev community and meet some of the people who I know personally. I know a lot of the people from City of Zion, a lot of awesome people who will be attending, but I would love to see you guys there at the conference. So if you can make it out, can't wait to see you there. But until then, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.